ever look back on your life and wish you could talk to your younger self to avoid some of the problems that you've created for yourself? I have. And I thought it would be nice to have a chat. I'm going to have a chat with my 30-year-old self, hoping that maybe someday my daughter, my granddaughter, my great-granddaughter, other people who could be benefited by this advice, people who will relate to this will see it, or people who have never considered this viewpoint before. So that's a big hope, isn't it? But what we're going to do today is, I've been working on this coloring page. I thought that we would chat as I keep working on it. It comes from this book, Cozy Corner. I got it on Amazon. That I would color while we chat about these things. And the topic is friendship. The things I wish I could tell myself when I was 30 so that I wouldn't suffer so much in my life because I've made some mistakes. Okay, so I would say, Roseanne, when you go into a new situation, like a new job, a new ward, which is a congregation, a new neighborhood, take your time to slow down and see what's going on with people. See who are friends. Where are the friendships? What are the friendships like? What is the mood of the area? What is the relationship with the boss and the workers, your peers? What is that like? Is there gossiping going on? Are they excluding people? Are they treating some people like they're not as good and others like they're better? Just take the temperature of what's going on before you do anything. I mean, you're in there, you're doing your best work, you're being friendly, you're saying hello, but you're not talking about yourself. You're not telling about your past. Unless someone asks you a question, then you answer that. You're not telling anybody about the problems that you have or what you think about someone else. You're just taking your time to get the scope of the area. If you notice that there are groups of people that have become really good friends and they're going out to lunch and they're never inviting you, that doesn't mean that they don't like you. That means that they are not even considering you. They are used to their little friendship situation, which is kind of normal. They're comfortable with each other and they're just going out to lunch. Sometimes though, and I've had this happen to me, the group is so large and it is so obvious that they should be including you, and yet they don't. That is a really big warning sign, and you really need to be careful about what you do next. Because if they're showing that tendency, and then if you're really observant, you'll see them kind of like rolling their eyes around you and stuff. That's not a good situation, and there's not anything that you are going to be able to do to make it better. I found out in one of those situations what had happened, and I couldn't have done anything about it, and it was just a horrific, horrible nightmare situation for me. But one of the people in the group was an intern, and he had applied for my job, and they felt like, no, we need someone who has more experience, so they didn't give him that job. But all of those other people on the floor were his good friends, part of the lunch crowd. And then I came on too strong. I didn't take time to slow down and consider and watch what was going on. And I'm not even sure that would have helped, but it would have helped me to realize, hey, and to find out, okay, this is bigger than you. This is bigger than you, Roseanne. Yeah, I wish I had taken time to notice that. And instead I went in assuming that they were going to be friendly, that it was going to be a nice situation for me. It was a company that I had always thought would be really neat to work for. I assumed that everybody would be nice and friendly there. And no, it wasn't. It wasn't. And I've since talked to some other people that worked there, and it was a nightmare situation for them as well. So it wasn't just me. At the time, it felt like it was just me, and I had just needed to slow down. And when I look at some of my mistakes in my work, neighborhood, church, it's because I came in too strong. And sometimes you go in a situation where they'll just be like, so glad that you're there, and they're so friendly to begin with, and it's just wonderful. And when that happens, then praise God that you have stumbled on one of those places, because I think they're more rare than common. And the way I think that is because my opinion, which means nothing, I need to find this purple. How am I going to find it? We'll say that's it. It's because people are more concerned about themselves than they are you. It's not a shade on you. I think it's more a shade on a society in general. People are, particularly now, and it's been true my whole life, because people are people. You know, people are people. But social media's definitely turned up the temperature. That's why people feel like it's just fine to go on and just absolutely slam people and make terrible accusations and be offended at everything because they can. They can go on really easily. And so it's a gigantic version of people gossiping over in the corner about so-and-so. It's just become a big thing, and now everybody knows what it is. But if that happens to you, I think it says more about them than it does you. That's my own personal opinion. But if it's like that, you slow down and you see that's going on, just think, okay, well, I'm just going to do my work here, and I'm going to stay out of the drama and not feel bad if the church group, the work group, the neighborhood just isn't into making friends with me. It doesn't mean anything. And if it gets intolerable enough, then think about moving. Think about leaving, finding another job, because you will not be able to do anything to change the situation. It's about them. It's not about you. But when you're insecure and you just want friends so bad, your mind naturally goes to, this is something I'm doing that I need to fix. Okay. I have a little list I want to make sure. But if you go from job to job to job, church to church to church, neighborhood to neighborhood, and the same kind of thing happens to you, and you're just like, oh, life is so unfair. Why, you need to slow down and think, you know what, maybe I am doing something that is contributing to this. You don't necessarily have to take the whole blame for everything, because people are people, but it would be good for you to consider that perhaps you are doing something that is making your life harder than it needs to be. It was after I retired and I had time to sit and think about my whole life. And I thought, oh, I wish I wouldn't have done that. Oh, I can see where that caused me problem. Blah, 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 blah. Which is kind of what I'm sharing with you. But you have to be honest with yourself. You have to be willing to go, what did I do? It's true that person was like this and this environment was like this. But what did I do? And like I said, maybe you couldn't have changed it, but you certainly could have felt better, and you would have heeded the signs and have moved yourself somewhere else. But that's another thing I learned. There is no way to move and leave a situation so completely that you'll never land with another group that has someone that's grumpy. In other words, there's always usually someone that you work with, or someone in the neighborhood, or someone at church is grumpy and just is driving everybody crazy. You can't move away from that. You can't find another job and get away from that, or go to a different neighborhood, because those people are everywhere. So the trick is, Roseanne, just know that, move on, and you just don't have, smile, Be friendly, but you don't have to participate with it, and you don't have to take it personally when they're doing that. And if they're picking on you, that's about them, not you. But just know, changing your job's not going to get you away. But I will say, and this is one of the things I want you to know, Roseanne, or anybody else who's watching this, if you go into a new situation, you're going to apply for a job, or you go look at a home, or whatever it is, and you have a kind of an uneasy feeling, pay attention. You are being warned. The worst jobs I've ever had came with those warnings. Where I walked in the building, I felt a little uneasy. I interviewed with the person, I felt a little uneasy. Just something felt off, and even though the job seemed to be good, the pay was good, and I let them talk me into it, they ended up being nightmare situations. So pay attention. Pay attention to those feelings. I really believe that when you are moving, you'll get that. I know when we've moved into really bad neighborhood situations, we let ourselves get carried away with what we were seeing, what we thought the house and the neighborhood was going to do for it, and just tamped down or didn't pay attention to those warning feelings. So don't do that. Don't do that. But if you go into a place you feel really good, it's like this house. We lived in a situation that wasn't good. I had a dream we moved, so we started looking. It was at a time when home prices were down, 2008. But I said, we're not going to buy a house unless we walk in it and we all feel good immediately. And we looked at so many homes. There were empty homes all over, everywhere. But we didn't get that feeling until we walked in this home. And as soon as we entered the home, we all felt it. We looked around at each other. And I said, well, I hope the house is good. Because we were going for that feeling. And thankfully, we loved the house. It ended up being perfect for us. And it's full of people. Absolutely stuffed with people right now. But the neighborhood's great. The church is great. We've been very, very happy here. The only one who could have got us here was God. And so we had to pay attention to that feeling of peace, that feeling of home versus that last house, the one we were moving away from. We felt uneasy, we felt edgy, but we talked ourselves into it. So don't do that. Don't do that. I've kind of mentioned this, but be willing to accept that people are more concerned about their life than yours. And I think it's so neat when I see people that have had friendships for all their lives, and they've had friendships since high school, and I don't know, you see the movies, and like Yaya Sisterhood is one that always comes to me. How neat it would be to have a friendship group like that, where those ladies were there for each other their whole life. That has not been my experience. It just hasn't been. It doesn't mean their life is better than mine. It's just different than mine. Sometimes you just have to be willing to accept this is the way my life is. What is good about my life? My life isn't bad that I don't have a big group of friends. But if you want some friends, you have to be willing to do something to try. And if it doesn't work out, then it's okay. Because I've been at work and have invited someone to go to lunch, and maybe we'd go to lunch a little bit, and then I'd realize, okay, there's something that's weird here, and then I just would kind of back away from that. I've misread situations where I thought they were friends, and I told too much about myself. I told too much about what I thought about other people, and that all came back to bite me. So I learned to be careful there, but you do have to do something. There's a girl, Dusty, I mention her a lot. She's a friend to me. I don't have very many friends, but she's a friend. And the way we became friends is she started emailing me. We emailed a few times. And then I watch her videos enough that I kind of knew what kind of person she is. And so one day I emailed her and said, I'd really like to talk to you about something. Could I have your phone number? I wanted to send you a text. And she did. And ever since then, we've been texting. And so have become friends that way. Do I wish I had a friend right here that I could go to lunch with and I could really have heart-to-hearts and they were true and I didn't have to worry about them turning on me or judging me because of situations we have with our family or things that have happened to me in my past, you know. Yeah, that would be great. That would be great. I do have a great husband. I can talk to him about everything. I'm very grateful for that. I have nice kids. But you know how it is. The kids are kids. It's not quite the same as having a peer. So, but I'm grateful that if you are alone, like maybe someday I'll be a widow. I hope not. Then if I want to have that kind of friendship in my life, then I'm going to have to do something about it. Even there, I work down at the retirement home care center down the street for church. My husband and I do. And there's a lady there that I've kind of related to, and I've gone down and visited her once. And I know if I went down and visited her more often and was regular about it, then she could be a friend, you know. She's would be kind of like my mom, going visiting my mom. So that's something I could do, but I'd have to do it. The mistake we often make is we expect them to notice us and want to become friends with us because we are magnetically appealing to people. No, I don't think we think that, but maybe our subconscious does. We hope we'll be noticed. And so like at work, I'm going to work really hard, or, you know, I'm going to smile at people and, hello. Well, they'll be friends, but not friendly. So the thing is, like I said, slow down, scope it out, see who seems to be kind of alone, and maybe someone you could relate to, and you reach out first. Roseanne. You've got to do that, Roseanne, because you're not real great at that. And I'm telling you, you're 30, you're pretty, you're cheerful, you have a lot of talents, people like you. If you want to have the kind of friend you're hoping for, you've got to try, honey. You've got to try. That's what I'd say to her. I'm really grateful for all of you that watch me regularly and comment in the make comments on the videos. It means a lot. I feel like I'm getting to know you. I know where you live, if you share that, and kind of what's interesting to you and what kinds of things you'd like to see me do. And when you're not here, I miss you. I notice. So if you stop watching my videos or commenting, I notice. I do. But it's just because I care about you and I hope you're okay. And so if you have any thoughts about this or you have any advice to 30-year-old me or 30-year-old anybody or each other, put them in the comments. But let's do it in a positive way, right? That's what we're all about here. And I hope we'll see you again. Bye.